Hi, everyone. I wanted to go over the quadratic word problems a little bit more. There are, as I see it, three different types. There's one type that talks about reduced rates. There's the other type that has distance equals rate times time, where one way is shorter than the other. And then the third way is working together. So let's start with the reduced rate. This problem is from a checkpoint in your text, which is right underneath one of the examples, and I recommend always looking at both of those if you want extra problems. A high school charters a bus for $560 to take a group of students to an observatory. When 8 more students join the trip, the cost per student decreases by $3.50. How many students were in the original group? Okay, so there is an original cost, and there is now a new cost. And when I subtract the original cost per member, is what I'm talking about. When I take the new cost for each member and subtract it from the original cost, it's now $3.50. Okay, so if I let X equal the number of students in the original group, let's think about what their cost is going to be. So per student. So $560 divided by X should give us the cost for the students per student in the original trip. Now, how much does it cost if I get 8 more students to join? Well, it should cost less. Okay, so my denominator is now bigger. So it would be 560 over X plus 8. And like I think I told you before, I always kind of check if my denominator is bigger, like it is in this one, I know the fraction is going to be smaller. So when I subtract those two costs, it should equal 350. Now I'm not going to go through how to solve that. This is just basically how to set up. So that's how you would set up that one. So the way that I'm thinking about doing these problems is I'm thinking that there's going to be a total amount, and that total amount is always going to be in the numerator because you're taking that amount and you're dividing it by something. So there's just a flat rate that something costs, and that's always going to be in the numerator. And then you're dividing it by the variable that they're being asked for, and then the change, which is the 8 more students. And the way I'm doing this is I'm really always taking what's the way I'm thinking of it is there's a bigger amount minus a smaller amount, and that's always going to equal this difference, which is this right here. Okay, so there's 3 numbers in the problem. You just have to think about what goes where. The flat rate is always going to go in the numerator. Okay, what something is decreasing or increasing by is going to go at the end. And the 8 more, or however is being added more or less, is going to be in the denominator, and then you have to do bigger minus smaller equals difference. Okay, so let's take a look at the next problem. School library spends $80 a month, so there's my flat rate. So I'm already thinking it's going to be something like this. A month on magazines. And by the way, I thought number 6 was very confusingly worded, and you won't see anything like that on the test or quiz. So forget number 6. The average price for magazines bought in January was 70 cents more than the average price in December. So we have an average price in January and an average price in December. And when I subtract them, I should get the 70 cents. So that's what's going to go here. Because of the price increase, the school library was forced to subscribe to 7 fewer magazines. That can just be a little bit confusing because it says how many magazines did the school library subscribe to in December. So I would call December as the variable that I'm looking for, and I know that the average in December is going to go here, and in January I had 7 fewer. Now let's check if this looks right. I know that 80 over D, if I think about whatever D might be, I know that this is a smaller denominator, which means that the entire expression is bigger, And so I will get a positive answer, because if you accidentally switch the D and the D minus 7, you would get a negative. So you just want to be careful about that. Okay, so that's the reduced rate problem, where it looks like the money is always going in the numerator, the change is always going after the equal sign, and then there's a minus in between the two, and then you have the two variables in the bottom where one is going to be the variable itself, and the other one is either going to be added or subtracted depending on the question. So let's take a look at the next type. Okay, the next one is time differences. And I kind of like doing these in a chart, although they're not going to be the same kind of chart that they were. They're similar, but not exactly the same as they were in the last from the last quiz. So we have rate times time equals distance. Okay, and this is also from your homework. Melissa walks 3 miles to the house of a friend and returns home on a bike. So she's walking and she's returning home on a bike. She averages 4 miles. Oh, and this is 3 miles and this is 3 miles. So that tends to be the same. I can't say it's always going to be the same, but it tends to be. But it's given. She averages 4 miles an hour faster when cycling than when walking. So if she is walking, we'll call that R, but if she is biking, she's faster. Okay, and the total time for both trips is going to equal 2 hours. So this one's actually a little bit easier. This one is like, in a way, like the old section, because now I do have a total time. Now, what you could do is you could have a second variable set up in the middle with time, meaning that one would be t and one would be 2 minus t, but then you have two variables, and that's just going to be too much. So what I recommend that you do instead is you think of the fact that time is equal to distance over rate. So we do 3 over r, and we do 3 over r plus 4, and this is my total time. So that means that I'm just going to add 3 over r plus 3 over r plus 4, and I get the total time, and I solve from there. However, let's take a look at the next one. It takes 36 minutes less time to travel 120 miles by car at night than by day, because of the lack of traffic allows the average speed at night to be 10 miles an hour faster than in the daytime. Find the average speed in the daytime. Okay, so let me draw my chart. And I think I told you in class, remember that you definitely want to reduce that. So if I divide everything by 12 even, I get 3/5 of an hour, which is what I have to think about, not 36 minutes. And it takes 36 minutes less time to travel 120 miles by car at night. So I'm going to put that in. Then by day, they're still going 120 miles because of the lack of traffic. And allows the average speed at night to be 10 miles an hour faster than in the daytime. So I'm going to call the daytime R, and the night is faster. Okay, again, I don't want to make a variable of t, so I'm going to divide, and this tends to be the case with all of these in this section, that you divide to get the time. But here is the thing that's different. It says that it takes the 3/5 of an hour less time. So the equation does not add up to 3/5 like it did before. You're going to be subtracting. Okay, that's what's different here, because it's less time. So let's think about which one is going to take more time. So I'm going to think about which is the more time, or maybe I should say the longer time minus the shorter time should equal 3/5 of an hour. Okay, so let's think about which one is longer. Well, they say in the problem that the daytime is longer, and it also has a smaller denominator, which means the whole number will be bigger, minus the shorter time. And that's how you set it up. So with these problems, guys, you can't think that it's going to be the same every single time. You're not just always going to add the 2 in the time column to get the total. In this case, you're going to have to subtract, and it's not necessarily top minus bottom. It's longer minus shorter. All right, and so let's move to the last case, which is working together. So for working together, here's what I would like you to think about. Let's say that it takes you 5 hours to get one job done. Well, then if in 1 hour, if I divided both by 5, both sides, in 1 hour, I would get 1/5 of the job done. And so then let's say I want 3 hours. Well, I could multiply both sides by 3 hours. And you could see that I would end up getting in 3 hours 3/5 of the job done. And that's kind of where the formula comes together, because what's happening is that you're working alone, and that's the fraction of the job that you'll get done in 1 hour, but then you work for T hours. And so I multiply by T. And then somebody comes in and helps you, and then this one just stands for the entire job. And of course, I could have 3 people and the formula can continue. So case one with these is that you're working together towards the same goal, and that's when you're actually going to use that formula. But case two is where one person is working, or more than one person is working against the goal. So that might be like if you're trying to fill up a swimming pool and then at a slower rate, there's a leak. So when would it actually fill up, even though there is a tiny leak? And so that formula would look something more like this. Okay, and then there's the other case where one person ends up starting earlier, and so your alone time is actually going to change. So I have one example of that next. Now, case three is actually where one person takes longer, not starts earlier. Sorry. So it takes Mrs. De Palmer and I 10 hours to grade midterms together. Working alone, Mrs. De Palmer takes 6 hours longer than me to grade the exams. How long does it take for both people to finish the task alone? Okay, so I know it's going to be something like this, equaling 1. I also know that the 10 is together, so that's going to go on top. And Mrs. De Palmer takes 6 hours longer than me to grade the exams. So I'm going to call the time how long it takes for me to finish grading. So that would be me. But it takes Mrs. De Palmer 6 hours longer, so that's more time. And then that's the equation. So those are the 3 cases for working together, and I hope that this video helps you to think about how to work through each of those 3 different types of problems.